My name is Ramila, and I have a connection with the Laura Fergusson Trust because my husband had an horrific accident last year, and he now has a permanent severe traumatic brain injury, and he was fortunate enough to go to Ralph, which is the residential unit at Laura Fergusson, and he lived there for 2 or 3 months. 3 months. So Yashoda and I have been married for nearly 40 years, and the majority of that time has been heavily involved with the Hare Krishna temple in Christchurch. So our life has been very spiritually weighted. Yashoda, alongside that, is an artist, but he's many things as well. He's a spiritual leader at the Hare Krishna temple, wonderful father of 3, fabulous husband, and a grandfather of 3 also. And we lived a very satisfying life within our spiritual Hare Krishna community. So nothing extraordinary, but just your average Kiwi family. So as I said, Yashoda was in a car accident last year, which I think 15 months ago. And he was severely injured on many, many levels physically, and consequently also, as we found out, neurologically, and he ended up with a severe traumatic brain injury, which is permanent. The other physical injuries, of course, he's healed over time, and he's healed really, really well, actually. He had a broken leg, he's got a titanium in his leg, but that's all good. But it's the brain injury that probably impacts on his life primarily now. So Yashoda was a very outgoing, out there personality beforehand. So rather than being like this, I think Yashoda's kind of more like this now. His memory is actually reasonably, surprisingly good. Sometimes I tell him, well, you're nearly 65, so you're not supposed to remember that anyway. But he does have memory loss. I think the thing I notice the most is it's almost like I can physically hear his brain processes things quite slowly. So sometimes I find myself, sometimes I overestimate how well he is, and sometimes I underestimate. So it's really trying to find that balance, and it's always, the goalposts are always moving with that as well. I feel really fortunate to be able to say we had an amazing experience. We're at Ralph. I'm not even being paid to say that. We had wonderful therapists, and I really appreciated everything they did for Yashoda, and I expected that to be there. So my expectations were fulfilled and more. When I found out, I knew nothing about TBIs, obviously totally in the dark. So I voraciously read whatever I could on the internet and in the library, books, etc. Spoke to people, spoke to medical staff, obviously at the hospital, and tried to find out as much as I could. And what I am so grateful for is that I know it could have been far worse, considering the brain injury that he had endured. And his recovery has been amazing. Having said that, of course, it still impacts on his life, consequently my life. But I would say just draw on all that support that has been offered to you. You've got a social worker, you've got speech therapists, occupational therapists, doctors, nurse aides, physiotherapists, neuropsychologists. I mean, it's an incredibly rich, well-resourced unit there. Take advantage of it.
Good advice.
Just keep asking questions. Just nag and nag and nag. I mean, I did. No, I never got the feeling that I asked too much or that I was a botheration. I mean, you can read stuff on the internet and I think that's great, you know, Dr. Google, whatever, but you're just not alone. Well, ever since Yashoda had an e-bike, it's looking fantastic. Yashoda, obviously, he won't be driving ever again, so he got an e-bike, and it has been a massive game changer for not just for me, but for him, because he's just gained so much independence from having the e-bike, and he can go long distances. He can go up the hills. He loves nature. He's so much into nature, so he can go into the forests, and so. I'm looking forward to his world opening up, not just through the e-bike, but bike, but through as time goes on, because like you say, it's ongoing. I mean, I can almost physically see the brain just opening up more and more and more. So I just love seeing, it's not about seeing the old Yashoda, I just love seeing my new version of Yashoda. It's kind of exciting, even though it can be really exasperating, and it can be quite tense sometimes, and it can be really difficult, even 15 months afterwards. Seeing this renewed version of him, it's exciting. I am astounded by how much progress Yashoda has made, not just those first 3 months, but just since being home. Unbelievable. In fact, I walked in on him the other day talking to someone on the phone. Oh my God, he sounds like Yashoda. Pre-accident, for that moment there, he just sounded really, not that he's not normal, but yeah. Yes, he's made incredible progress. I really appreciated their concern for me as well, checking in with me all the time as well. That was great, because I needed it. And I didn't realise how much I needed it. And they were always there for me. I mean, they were obviously going to be there for Yashoda, but they were just so accommodating of me, and that was huge for me. So it's not all about Yashoda. And I think we're coming near to the end of it, coming up a year since he's been there, which has been great. And the nice thing is that I know that even though we're coming kind of to the end of it, I know that they're still accessible at any time, like 6 months down the track. I'm pulling my hair out about something. So yeah, it is really overwhelming in the beginning, because for most people it's new territory. So yeah, take one day at a time and breathe. Keep on breathing. Yes.